and I know that you've talked about this Benghazi several times. So give the Cliff Notes version for those, if this is our first time to hear about Benghazi, what happened in your role. Give us a quick little that version you've probably said 1,000 times. I'm sorry to make you say it again.
It's not a problem, and it keeps the memories of Ron and Bubba alive as well.
Right, I agree. We'll dig into them too.
But I was with, like you said, GRS, Global Response Staff. That's the security operatives or agents or whatever the cool guy word you want to use, officers of the Central Intelligence Agency. And we were in Libya at that time, just doing what we usually do, which is protection, surveillance, counter surveillance, low profile protection, very low vis. And then also doing getting the layouts and the atmospherics of the city, which we would pass on daily. Now, unbeknownst to us until we really got there, our main objective there was to provide weapons and get weapons and move Saddam's weapons around that region. Legal or not, that's something the DC will have to explain, or if they have tried to explain or not explain. But when we were there that evening, it was an attack on the U.S. consulate. We were at the annex, which was about 3/4 of a mile away from the consulate. It was attacked. We responded to the attack. There was 6 of us, tremendous team. We had 2 Navy SEALs, 3 Marines, and myself as this is the Lone Ranger. Man, I was Tonto and the Lone Ranger at the same time. How about that? I didn't know.
That's pretty cool, actually.
but we responded, and the attack was pulled off by Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, AQIM, and then Ansar al-Sharia, which later melded into what we know as ISIS now. It was just 13 hours of, and it wasn't continual. Any firefight where you're at it continually, it's just like a boxing match. There's punches and there's lulls, and there's punches and there's lulls. Right. And that's what it was. But we had 5 distinct separate firefights that night. The last one, we didn't have the ability to counter it. It was with mortars. If we would have got the air support we asked for, I think we wouldn't have got mortared that evening. But the last attack, I think they were more inclined to like, hey, we're not going to try to get anybody, which is what they were initially trying to do, is just take somebody, trying to get a prisoner, a high value target, which the ambassador, Chris Stevens, was. And he was a huge target for him. When they found out that they were losing too many bodies and they just couldn't get that person, steal that person, use them as propaganda, primarily the ambassador who they were trying to get, they brought in the big guns, which we couldn't defend. And they dropped 81 millimeter mortars on us, which killed Ron and Bub and severely injured Dave Ubben, who was the U.S. State Department security officer, and Mark Osgeist, who was the Marine that was with us there. And then we were able to finally get out of there with the help of, and for those that don't know it, it never came out in the movie. We didn't put it this way, but it's in Trey Gowdy's Select Committee report. That's where I found out about it. I didn't even know these guys, but these guys, the militia that came to help us, that I had to throw the little jumbo sign up to, they were Omar Gaddafi loyalists that came and rescued us and actually took out the mortar team. I know, isn't it ironic? Isn't it? That's why we were there, to overthrow Gaddafi. Yet we were saved by Omar Gaddafi.
How much money were they paid?
And they were. I know they were paid a ton.
Oh yeah.
But they also took out that mortar team for us, which why we didn't keep getting hit. And I didn't know it that night at the time. All I was like, God, thank God those mortars are stopped, because we wouldn't have been able to do anything else. They could have just turned our compound into dust if they had wanted to, because they were fire for effect. They were right on target.
Well, yeah, I think you and I both are big believers in mastering the basics is what makes you advanced.
100%.
A lot of people think there's supposed to be some ninja tricks out there that we're not teaching them that we know. And I'm like, nope, you just got to master the basics. We do have a hypothetical survival world for you to try and get through. Keep in mind, people can come back to life. Cars that are wrecked can all of a sudden work. This is Can You Survive This podcast? Okay, so we run shit differently around here. But it is something you could think about, like in those moments when you think you have the stalker, the crazy guy following you. There's other ways of changing appearance that could help you to evade whatever that potential situation is. It could be a change in bags, a change in shoes, a change of anything that they lock onto and how they recognize you. A lot of times, you remember like messenger bags, it was like bad, right? For a while there was like, you're carrying the messenger bag, you go change your clothes, but you still got the messenger bag. That's the thing they key on. Or shoes, like a lot of times shoes don't get changed and they key on shoes. And it's like, doesn't matter that you just changed all your clothes, they still see the shoes. So, but on the safety security side for the average person, if you're out there and, you know, you think someone's behind you and you can dip into a store and maybe even buy something real quick and throw it on, a jacket or something, to just break up what their eyes are used to seeing, that is the key. You're just taking away the visual that their brain is looking for long enough for you to disappear. You start to open the driver's door to get into your vehicle, and one of the guys pushes the driver's door shut and says, "Empty your pockets." So do you A, draw your weapon, or B, try to reason with them and ask them that, hey, I don't want any trouble?
So first off, I would try and create space at this point. Probably not going to deploy a pistol at this point, because I would rather give them money than shoot them. And you haven't said whether or not they've produced any weapons yet. So I'm assuming that they haven't. They're asking for money. So I'm going to try and comply with them. Right. I'm going to, continue to engage verbally, but I'm definitely not going to get in the car at this point, because you get crushed getting in the car right there. And I'm going to be circling to try and make sure that I'm lining up both of their guys, right? You can't get flanked. So you have, it becomes a movement game at this point to make sure that you are, that you're tracking on both of the threats at the same time.
Yeah. You answered beyond the answers, which of course I wouldn't expect any less from you. But I did put you as drawing your weapon because you're an aggressive kind of guy. Okay. So A, you draw a weapon. But just like many of these, there's two right answers sometimes, and it's really situation dictates, just like in real life, correct? It's really dependent on what's going on. You're already outnumbered. You could literally pull a weapon and probably get away with saying, hey, I was outnumbered, I felt threatened, and so I pulled a knife, or I pulled something to try and intimidate them back and create space or whatever. Which leads to a little sidebar conversation. I'm curious your thoughts on this. And I went through this with John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society, right? And, we are, as military trained, that if you pull your weapon, you better be pulling the trigger kind of mentality. But do you think there's a place to draw a weapon in order to prevent anything from going any further?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I tell guys that I used to say, don't pull your pistol out unless you're going to use it. Mm-hmm. And that was a very immature, less experienced me that said that. Yeah. Because cops pull their pistols out all the time and shoot people very rarely. Pulling out your pistol can have a very de-escalating effect.
Right.
Yes. So what I tell guys is, it's never posturing. It's never, I just want to win an argument, so I'm going to pull my pistol out. It is, okay, my 44 years of experience tell me that this is going to escalate. Therefore, I'm ready to shoot this guy if he takes two more steps forward. Therefore, if I can pull my pistol out now and say, no, buddy, let's just go ahead and stop right there. If I can do that and he leaves, man, that's a much higher level win. It's always a higher level win to win with a lower level of violence.
Yes.
Right? Because I get to go home. He gets to go home. I'm not, even if it's a righteous shoot, that's still like, I'm getting arrested that day.
Oh yeah.
There's still, I'm losing my pistol. Like there's going to be all sorts of anxiety because they're going to read you the riot act. They're probably still going to charge you with something initially. Like, man, everyone's life is better if you're like, no. Like, if you take two more steps forward, or it might be, that same type of situation. Maybe one guy's got a pipe, you ID that, you pull a pistol out and you're like, no, man, like this is not happening. Go away. Go right home to mama right now. Like go chill out at home. Like I'm going to leave right now. But in your mind, you're like, if he comes around, if he breaks 12 o'clock on my truck, I'm going to burn him down because I can't, because past that, he's too fast. for me to be able to engage them. And that is a significantly higher level win.
You're listening to Can You Survive This podcast? Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and share on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.